I think that I've encountered this a lot in politics, where people think that the answer is a lot more complicated than it really is. And she's answered this many times, and she had, she did have her own email account. Others had done it before, and it was just more convenient, and she kept it like that. And she didn't really think, that's the thing. She didn't really think it through, and she has said, had she would have done it differently.
Sure. Okay. James Taranto, columnist for the Wall Street Journal, editor of OpinionJournal.com, joins us. Hi, James.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you very much. Great pieces recently in the Journal regarding this. I like the Moynihan excuse, and that stems from a book where Moynihan was quoted as talking about national security classified material and how that's the hardest thing to actually define. And it seems, of course, that's what Hillary has fallen back on to an extent.
Well, Moynihan's main point was that the government classifies far too much information, that often material is classified that is not really vital to national security and may not even be really secret. So Jeff Toobin was offering this, saying that this is Mrs. Clinton's real problem, and you hear Mrs. Clinton's campaign people talking about this as well, kind of talking about how confusing the classification rules and all this. Now, Mrs. Clinton herself, at her press conference in March, said, and I quote, "I'm certainly well aware of the classification requirements and did not send classified material." So her story has changed. But if you listen to everything that her people are saying, I mean, you played that clip of Jennifer Palmieri saying she didn't think it through. Her press secretary the same day made this bizarre comment. At worst, Mrs. Clinton was a passive recipient of unwitting information that was later deemed to be classified. It's a classic Clintonian formulation.
Yep.
But when you think about it, somebody who doesn't think things through and is a passive recipient is not really the image that you want to project when you're running for president. It seems to be a very bad political message. But of course, it's not just a political message. What they're doing is they're putting together, it seems to me, a legal defense. All of these excuses are different ways of saying that she didn't have mens rea, she didn't have the intent to commit a crime. And when you think about the political peril that Mrs. Clinton would be in if she were indicted, or if the Justice Department made it official that this is a criminal investigation, a question about which there's been some dispute, you can understand why. This is the legal jeopardy is the greatest political jeopardy, even though what she's doing, what she and her people are doing to avoid to attempt to avoid legal jeopardy is worsening her political situation.
Absolutely, and the public's not buying it. They're not buying, did you wipe the server, you mean with a cloth? I think she's alienating people of goodwill and good faith who were considering her, and that's why they don't trust her. But also, the revelations that come out every day. Now we find out from Reuters that, Uma Abedin sent her these very highly classified intelligence emails, which Uma shouldn't have been seeing in the first place. I mean, it just gets worse and worse every day. But you're right. It all goes back to the Clintonian way of defending, and it all is a variation of, it depends on what the meaning of the word is.
Well, I think the point with the Reuters story is not that the level of classification was so high, but that the material was material that is automatically considered classified.
Right.
And so that upsets the Moynihan excuse. The particular material in question is things that were told in confidence by foreign government officials. That is supposed to be automatically classified under government rules. So this is a case in which the rules are very clear, and it appears that Mrs. Clinton and her people broke them. And by the way, even if Mrs. Clinton didn't send classified material, we still have this problem that she was receiving it on her private server, and then her lawyers, who may or may not have had security clearance, went through and deleted emails and then wiped the server. So we're in a position where it's possible that foreign hackers, foreign spies, have classified information that the U.S. government may not be able to recover.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely stunning.
All right, we got a minute left. Donald Trump, is he going to win this thing?
I don't think so, but you never know. Sometimes there are surprises. I guess I tend to be of the Philip Klein school. Philip writes for the Washington Examiner and wrote a piece saying he thinks that Trump's support has peaked. And it is true that these sorts of outsider and populist candidates tend to do better before the actual voting starts. But we shall see. He does represent a certain frustration among Republicans,
and he's been up there for a long time.
Yeah. On the other hand, remember the example that most quickly comes to mind is Howard Dean in 2003, 2004. Okay. He was way ahead almost until Iowa started voting.
Right. James, great to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much. Give Me 5 is next, folks. Don't go away.